It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It doesn't get much better than this on a Tuesday. It's the top stories out of the world of sport, local and international, brought to you by your top team of pundits, Chris Gray, Barry Manandi, Alois Munjira. My name is Mike Madoda and our producer is Sean Tafirinika. You throw in there two top beats out of the world of music and it makes for prime time listening entertainment on your favorite sports show, which is on your favorite station, ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. Now, the stories you can look forward to on today's edition of ZiFM Sport: on the home front, with the resumption of the CAF Champions League getting ever nearer, FC Platinum are fretting over their participation due to their players' lack of game time and preparation. Being a Tuesday, we have our staple, the Zimoka Formula One report, where Lewis Hamilton is uncatchable in this year's Drivers' World Championship. That's according to his main rivals. Both Max Verstappen of Red Bull and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari effectively conceded the title on Sunday after the British Grand Prix as the six-time champion claimed his third straight victory.
And we'll take you on a trip around the world in 60, taking off in the United Kingdom, where Pakistan coach Misbah-ul-Haq has urged his side to get off to a flying start in their test series with England. In the United States, Justin Rose says turning 40 last week gave him the opportunity to press the reset button after a disappointing year, and the Britain is looking forward to challenging for 7 majors over the next 11 months. And in New Zealand is where we'll land, where former All Blacks winger Julian Savea reported for his first day of training with the Wellington Hurricanes yesterday, keenly aware the next few weeks will decide the direction of his professional career.
We'll head into the beautiful game where Brentford and Fulham will slug it out for a place in the Premier League tonight when the London rivals clashed in a championship playoff with an estimated £170 million to the winners. Reports say Manchester United are close to agreeing personal terms in principle on a 5-year contract with Jadon Sancho as discussions continue at an advanced stage with Borussia Dortmund over the structure of the transfer fee. And a war of words has erupted in Germany with Borussia Dortmund chief Michael Zorc hitting back at former Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß criticism of Dortmund's transfer policy and club culture.
But first, and as always, it's Top Hit Tuesday Power Play. Today it's the turn of Bastille. It's featuring Graham Coxon. It's called What You Gonna Do.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Remember, you're a big part of this show. Get in touch with us on our interactive platforms, Twitter and Facebook. Follow and interact with @ZiFM Sport, or even in our individual capacities. Simply search for Christine Midzi, Barry Manandi, Alois Bunjira, Mark Pozo, Sean Tafirinika, and myself, Mike Madoda. Takeoff, I did say, is on the home front. Football news. FC Platinum are fretting over participation in the lucrative CAF Champions League due to their players' lack of game time. The Shavane Bay side, one of only 3 Zimbabwean sides, including Dynamos and Caps United, to reach the Champions League mini-league phase, last played a competitive match when they beat Highlanders 2-0 in the Castle Challenge Cup at Barberfield Stadium in March, before all sporting activities were halted due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. This year's CAF Champions League was initially set to get underway this weekend with preliminary round matches, but it is now likely to roar into life sometime in October. Let's hear from FC Platinum spokesperson Chido Chizondo, who speaks on the champions' predicament.
Yes, as FC Platinum, we are caught between a rock and a very hard place. With the Champions League remaining matches coming through in October, it is also a call for action for us to actually resume training. However, the circumstances that we are in now have forced us to follow the procedures that have been set by government, and we have suspended all football activities in Rishavane until such a time that we are able to go back. Yes, in as much as we would all love to go back to the action, we cannot take away from the fact that we need to continue doing everything we can to preserve the lives that are there. Football will come, and it will come at the right time. For now, our position remains the same. We will wait for the advice of the executive, and they will then let us know what they have negotiated either with ZIFA or government, and we will then be able to communicate our new position.
Well, that's Chizondo there, Chris, talking about how they stand guided by the protocols that have been put in place by government as to whether they can train or not. Right now, it looks like they can't train, and so it is with some justification that they are worried that this is going to affect how they perform in the CAF Champions League.
Definitely. FC Platinum, I think they haven't had as great a run as they would have liked in their previous times in the CAF Champions League. So I think this time they're looking forward to, they have a different coach. They've done quite a bit of buying in the markets from last season, and this time they were hoping, I think, to get a bit further along in the competition. Now, coming into this competition, a tough competition for a team like FC Platinum, and they're unable to, first of all, have their players in top form, I think is incredibly problematic. It's obviously due to the coronavirus pandemic, but it would have been great to get some guidance, whether it's from ZIFA, whether it's from the PSL, in terms of what are we going to do in terms of a return, because this also guides teams like FC Platinum, who are not only playing on a domestic front, but who are also going to be playing on the continent as well.
Now, the last couple of weeks have seen a tightening of the lockdown regulations by the government due to surging infections driven by local transmission. And in truth, the situation looks like it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Now, Chris pointing out that FC Platinum look like they've assembled a better squad, Alois. They've brought in players like Stanley Ngala, players like Perfect Chikwende, and we saw how they played versus Highlanders. Far improved performance, higher level of intensity, and they've brought in a new coach as well. And Chris does make a fine point that they were hoping that in this edition of the CAF Champions League that they would make more of a mark.
Yes, Mike, I do really agree that, FC Platinum have actually assembled a very good squad this time around. And I was also hoping as a Zimbabwean that they would go further and do well. We saw how they played against Islanders, much more intense play that they are showing now. And we were hoping that this is actually the kind of play that can actually make them, give them a very good impression in Africa. And it's disappointing that we came to this situation. And my biggest problem, my biggest worry is the PSL, Zimbabwe Football Association, the government, everybody. Nobody was preparing for this. Nobody was thinking about FC Platinum's predicament. I don't think anybody saw that coming, and I don't think that we were even preparing anything to get back to football. You see, I think that's where the FC Platinum find themselves in a very, very bad position, because the authorities are not even thinking. I think football is number last in their minds. They're not even thinking about how we're going to get back to football. So FC Platinum are in this kind of situation where there's no protocol for them to actually restart. So it might just seem they might just pull out of the tournament, because you can't go and play in Africa when you're not training. You know, the other countries are already putting things in place and their teams are getting back to training. Here, we haven't even started anything yet. No protocol has been put in place. Nothing has been done. So it looks like FC Platinum are in a serious predicament, and I'm not sure how they're going to get out of it unless they are going to be pulling out of this tournament. I don't know. We just wait to look and see what happens. But as far as Zimbabwe is concerned, there are no steps to restart football at all.
Okay, and the hope certainly will be that FC Platinum doesn't pull out of the CAF Champions League, Barry. We have seen some countries on the continent resume their leagues. Notably, of course, a lot of publicity around South Africa, who will be resuming in the next few days, getting their competitions, of course, back on track, but in a bubble, in a safe environment in Gauteng. Now, you, Barry, of course, apart from being a pundit, you are a football man, chairman of Golden Eagles Football Club. If you were the chairman of FC Platinum and sitting on the executive, what would be the strategy? What would you be thinking at this moment in time? Kickoff is perhaps 2 months away. There seems to be no end in sight to the lockdown here in Zimbabwe, but your team needs to play. What do you do?
Individual application, I think, would be the best way to go. SRC has opened the door for various NSAs to apply for special dispensation to get back to sport. This lockdown will not be perpetual. It will come to an end at some point. It's obviously been tightened because of the spike in infections, as you pointed out earlier. But at some point, it will come to an end. The issue is to be ready when this lockdown comes to an end. So prepare an individual application that speaks to FC Platinum's extenuating circumstances, that speaks to the fact that FC Platinum is ready, capable, able to do its own individual testing and the testing protocol thereof, and then speak about the steps which FC Platinum will make to getting back to training. That's the minimum standard, and then copy that to ZiFM and advise ZiFM that that's what you're doing, and then apply directly to the SRC and see if the special dispensation can be given as soon as the lockdown goes back to level 2 and the curfew is lifted, and they're then able to get back to work. Because in truth, I think the one tragedy is that the authorities don't view football players as employees and football clubs as employers. So when they talk about business, they talk about even the informal sector, there's no reference to football, there's no reference to sport. And that's horribly problematic. Right now, FC Platinum has employees that are sitting at home that need to get back to work because they've got an assignment coming up in October. So FC Platinum needs to pull finger and try and make sure that they get back to training at the very minimum. They're never going to be game ready at this stage. Even if football kicks off in September, they're not going to have the amount of minutes that you need to then participate in the Champions League, but at least get back to training.
Well, let me just rewind a bit with Chris around what you termed as selective application. And the advantage here, Chris, will be that FC Platinum, of course, are the brainchild of Mimosa, who are one of the big mining conglomerates in the country. So if there is any company or if there is any club in Zimbabwe, in the Kasolaga Premier Soccer League, that can create something of a bubble out there in Zhishavane, it's probably FC Platinum. They have the capacity to do that. And this is a sacrifice that they may well have to make in order for them to participate in the CAF Champions League.
Definitely. I think, one, because of their location, Zhishavane being a small mining town, I think they're definitely able to create a sort of environment where you can have your players, your coaching staff, some admin staff as well, all operating in one secluded area. What they would need to do is obviously the routine testing at the beginning, regularly on a weekly basis. They need to conduct some testing as well. But I think when you have the financial muscle, if I can put it that way, to actually get something going again, I think it's definitely a sacrifice that they'll need to make. Because first of all, playing on the continent, there is a certain amount of money that comes with that. We can't ignore it. And this is something that they also need to look to and say, it's probably more for their benefit that they do dig a little deeper, create this bubble, get some sort of training and restart going, and then they're able to proceed, because it'll be a crying shame for Zimbabwean sport in general if they don't participate in the CAF Champions League.
Alois, you had talked about the fact that FC Platinum may well have to pull out. Is this the sort of thing that they need to do to prevent themselves from having to pull out?
Exactly. That's the only way that they can do it. Apply to the SRC, apply to the government so that they can actually They can actually do the bubble. Then they can actually assure the nation that, you know what, we can actually do it. A secluded place where they can actually have their players training, playing games, sanitizing everything, and making sure that their players are regularly tested. I think they can do it. They've got the ability to do that. I think this is an extenuating circumstance. Like they're saying that they can actually do this and go and play. But as long as they are crowded into everybody else, if we are together in this one lockdown rules, one lockdown protocol, everything for everybody, we are not going to see them playing, because football in Zimbabwe, like Barry said, is regarded as pastime. It's not like an employer thing. And FC Platinum players are sitting at home, but they are employees that need to go to work, because there's an essential job that needs to be done in Africa. I think that's what they should do.
And that's the key, isn't it, Alois? Because I think, Mike, that the essential job in Africa must take precedence, because regardless of what ZIFA comes back and says to us on Saturday, because they say that the ZIFA Medical Committee is going to give us all feedback on the 8th, which is Saturday, as to what their findings have been and whether we're actually going to kick a ball of football in anger this year. Regardless of what is said there, FC Platinum must do their best to participate in Africa. ZIFA, again, playing second fiddle to the PSL. The PSL released their report nearly 2 months ago, and only now are we going to get the ZIFA report. So regardless of what comes out, FC Platinum needs to do their best to play in Africa.
And this is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday. Nothing but the top sports stories. And of course, coming up, we've got a local sports news roundup, a handball, darts, as well as a football update concerning former Warriors and FC Platinum coach Norman Mapeza. And then it's, of course, lights out as we take off in the Zimoko Formula One report, where we are talking about Lewis Hamilton and his dominance in that arena.
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
All right, time for your local sports news roundup now, starting with handball. Zimbabwe Handball Federation Secretary General Edson Chirodza says the financial support they are set to receive from the International Handball Federation will go a long way in keeping them afloat. The association have been hit by COVID-19. ZHF are expected to receive €6,000 from the International Federation. The National Federation also recently received financial support from a well-wisher from their national team project. The project is focused on building a national team that can challenge for qualification to the 2024 Olympic Games. On to darts news now. The African Union Sports Council Region 5 darts tournament has been cancelled indefinitely as a way to try and curb the COVID-19 pandemic. National Darts Association of Zimbabwe President Maynard Moyo, who is also the regional leader, confirmed the cancellation. COVID-19 has continued to ravage our region and the whole world at large, and instead of seeing a reduction in the number of infections, it seems the opposite is true, said Moyo. A quick survey of the region shows that Southern Africa is recording more infections than before. Let's wrap it up with that news of Mushinwa Majuzi, Norman Mapeza. The football news, of course, where former Warriors and FC Platinum coach Norman Mapeza could return to coach in the ABSA Premiership in South Africa, with reports from the country suggesting that he has been lined up by Black Leopards as a potential candidate to replace Alan Clark, who has reportedly received a coaching opportunity in Europe. Mapeza resigned as head coach of Chippa United under unclear circumstances in March this year, just over 4 months into his 2-year contract. Football magazine Kickoff.com yesterday reported that the highly rated Mapeza was one of the 2 names, together with Dan Malesela, who have been identified as possible replacements at the club.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoko, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoko, specialized service for special brands.
It's a big congratulations to Lewis Hamilton and the Mercedes-Benz Formula One team's win at the British Grand Prix, and good luck again for this weekend's race. Now, just in case you didn't know, Zimoko is also the home of the legendary Jeep range of vehicles. Since 1945, Jeep has been manufacturing the best 4x4 models on the market. The Jeep brand currently produces 5 SUV models to suit each individual: the Renegade, the Campus, the Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee, and the Wrangler.
Now, the Jeep Renegade is a subcompact SUV and is perfect for cruising around town in style and safety, or even adventuring off-road. It is the most affordable model of the Jeep range and is available in a 1.4-litre and 2.4-litre petrol engine with either manual or automatic transmission. Now, the all-new 2020 Jeep Compass is a compact SUV, and it has been completely redesigned to mimic a smaller version of the well-known Grand Cherokee. It has a sleek, sporty appearance and is available in 2.4-litre petrol engine with either manual or automatic transmission. This compact SUV will surprise you with its affordability coupled with its amazing range of available options. It is a real head-turner.
Right, let's talk about the Jeep Cherokee, which is a mid-size SUV and features a 2.4-litre petrol engine with an automatic transmission. Whether you're looking for luxury, off-road prowess, or powerful performance, the Cherokee has something for every adventure and is truly one of a kind. Our most popular model is the famous Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it is the most awarded SUV on the market. This large SUV is available in a 3.6-litre petrol or a 3-litre diesel engine with over 70 standard and available safety and security features. The Grand Cherokee will also keep you and your loved ones out of harm's way. Available in multi-trims, this is a Jeep Grand Cherokee to suit your budget and your lifestyle.
Z.
All right, on to our Formula One report, Papa, where Lewis Hamilton is uncatchable in this year's Drivers' World Championship. According to his main rivals, both Max Verstappen of Red Bull and Charles Leclerc of Ferrari effectively conceded the title on Sunday after the British Grand Prix as the 6-time champion claimed his 3rd straight victory. At that, the championship leader completed the race on 3 wheels, made no difference to their view that the only man with a chance of overhauling Hamilton is his Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas. After claiming his record 7th victory in Sunday's dramatic race, Hamilton is 30 points clear of the Finn, who finished 11th after suffering an identical front left tyre failure. Chris, what a dramatic finish to a Formula One race. And in truth, he limped over the line on 3 wheels. My goodness, I've never seen a Formula One race end in this fashion. But I think almost emblematic of the fact that it's likely that Lewis Hamilton will complete this Drivers' Championship come what may.
Yes, definitely. I think what we're going to see, we've seen that kind of spirit from him. I think if you look at the past 4 races, there's a kind of doesn't matter what's going on, never say die attitude that we're seeing from him. And he's making sure that he's at the top of these standings. He's 30 points clear at the top. And when your own rivals are now saying that the only person who can beat him is his teammate, first of all, it might just be talk, but I think there's a real recognition there that this season Lewis Hamilton is really pulling rabbits out of the hat.
Yeah, certainly pulling rabbits out of the hat, but hindsight is 2020, Mike, and Max Verstappen will probably be looking back at that final pit stop where they opted to get onto the new tires, chase the fastest lap and that extra championship point, rather than staying on those wearing tires. They would have probably won this race, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would have, Barry. But like you said, hindsight is always the perfect science. So you kind of like looking back, and that's only because Lewis Hamilton suffered that puncture at the end of the race. Under normal circumstances, which is what they base their decisions on, it was perhaps a logical decision to make at that stage. But just going back to the rivals conceding the title, I think, first of all, it's going to be a big worry for Formula One as far as the championship is concerned. This has been the huge complaint coming through from fans and TV viewers over the last few years, that Formula One has become a damp squib, that has become fairly predictable, that there's no excitement. And this is one thing that certainly highlights that only 4 races have been completed in a 15-race calendar, and already some of the main protagonists are conceding the title. So for Formula One as a brand, as a championship, as a sporting spectacle, it's certainly taking a hit. And then the second thing is that I think when these guys are conceding the title to Lewis Hamilton, but they make the proviso that only his teammates can catch up, that's not a recognition of Lewis Hamilton as the supreme driver. That's saying that Mercedes-Benz have got a vehicle that the other ones cannot match. And that is the reality. That is the truth of the situation at the moment, that your car is determining how well you're going to perform in the championship and not necessarily your driving skills. And so the hope is, like many analysts are pointing, that the new technical regulations that are going to come into force in 2022 will usher in a more competitive race in Formula One, something that will just add a bit of a stimulus in the championship and bring excitement to racing again.
Absolutely, and the owners of Formula One, Liberty Media, will be hoping that that certainly does take place. The fact that it becomes a more of a competitive championship. Mike, of course, referring there, some noises coming out of Ferrari earlier in the week. I think it was Matteo Binotto saying that they won't have a vehicle, as in Ferrari, won't have a vehicle to challenge for the championship at least until 2021, possibly even 2022. And those are the wrong sounds for the owner of Formula One. You need a competitive championship, and that's exactly what all the fans and we here on ZiFM Sport are looking out for.
Z.
Right, finally, let's take a look at the all-new 2020 Jeep Wrangler, and it is the legendary, highly capable adventuring off-roader. The Wrangler comes in either a 2 or 4-door option with a Rubicon or Sahara trim. The Wrangler is the Jeep brand icon, and it marries style with modern design, making it a standout SUV. This is the one Barry on the Jeep, Anditika. Yes. When we started watching TV and started watching movies, it's Jeep.
Yeah. You know, drive up on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach, exactly.
Yeah,
Paradenga.
Yes,
exactly. And I think the army used to use it as well. Like any of these army movies, they have a Jeep in there, the original Jeep. Now, with all the Jeep models Zimoco has to offer, and if you still can't make up your mind on whether to buy a sports car or an SUV, we have just the car for you. The all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT is the one. It's powerful. 6.4-litre V8 turbocharged engine will get your adrenaline pumping. 475 horsepower. 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Top speed of 258 kilometers an hour. Say no more. I doubt you'll be able to hit 250 in Zim.
Mikey.
No.
You know what? Mike, have you heard this thing? Have you heard this thing growl? My man, it'll put hair on your chest, straight up and down. That is a car.
I already have hair on my chest, man.
Fair enough. Now, for more information on our Jeep range, please email sales@zimoco.co.zw or visit our Zimoco showroom in Sam Levy's Village to check out these awesome cars for yourself. Please remember to wear your mask and follow our COVID safety precautions. The Formula One Report, this and every Tuesday, brought to you by Zimoco.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z. Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll take it from the United Kingdom, where Pakistan coach Misbah-ul-Haq has urged his side to get off to a flying start in their test series with England, saying they must be at their best right from the word go. England are notoriously sluggish starters and have lost their opener in 8 of their past 10 test series, including a recent 2-1 home success against the West Indies that marked international cricket's return from the coronavirus lockdown. They now return to Old Trafford, the scene of their 2 victories over Jason Holder's men, for the first test in another 3-match series against Pakistan starting tomorrow. We head over to the United States, where Justin Rose says turning 40 last week gave him the opportunity to press the reset button after a disappointing year, and the Brixton is looking forward to challenging for 7 majors over the next 11 months. Rose, who won the US Open in 2013 and the Olympic gold 3 years later, has not won a tournament in the last 18 months and heads into the PGA Championship at Harding Park on Thursday, hoping to turn things around. The world number 16 says he's looking to hit top form in the 3 remaining majors this year, the PGA Championship, the US Open and the Masters, and use it as a launch pad for 2021. We'll touch down in New Zealand, where former All Blacks winger Julian Savea reported for his first day of training with the Wellington Hurricanes yesterday, keenly aware that the next few weeks will decide the direction of his professional career. Savea, nicknamed the Bus, left the Hurricanes in 2018 to join Toulon on a 2-year contract, but cut his stay in France short earlier this year when the French Top 14 League was cancelled due to the novel coronavirus. The 29-year-old joined the Hurricanes for their final 2 games in Super Rugby at Aroa, and he said on Monday he knew he needed to impress in training and then in the domestic provincial championship to secure a longer contract.
Hi, my name is Rune Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
News out of Germany is that Borussia Dortmund chief Michael Zorc has hit back at former Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß, who had called the club's transfer policy not smart in an interview with German broadsheet FAZ. Hoeneß had said the young players at Dortmund were regarded as nothing but an object for sale and couldn't commit to the club. When Dortmund buys a highly talented player and he plays well, you can hear only a few months later, either from within the club or from outside, that he will eventually be an object for sale. How can a player take in the club's DNA 100% if he gets the impression that he's an object for sale? Zorc responded to the comments yesterday and said Bayern benefited from having a larger budget. Those are pretty arrogant statements, and some of them are so factually wrong. If you have 250 million euro more in your pocket every year, it is just easy to brag. So he makes a point, doesn't he, Michael Zorc, Barry, that Borussia Dortmund don't have the luxury that Bayern Munich have of holding on to players, especially when outrageous bids come in.
Yeah, it's not possible. And in truth, we should look less at what's gone out of Borussia Dortmund, and I understand why we do. But I think we should look more at the model of Borussia Dortmund and say this is a football club that's absolutely well run, because they've always been in that first and second in the Bundesliga. Yet you look at the quality that's gone out. We're talking Aubameyang, we're talking Hummels has gone and come back. If we run down the names, it's ridiculous. Lewandowski. It's ridiculous amount of talent that has left Borussia Dortmund, but this is a club that's still competing. So let's concentrate, and I agree with Michael Zorc. They don't have that luxury, but it's a model that's working for them, because with the resources that they have, with the history that they have, which you eloquently told us about a couple of months back, in terms of them having gone close to bankruptcy, all but bankruptcy, and then build themselves back up. With that history, this club still standing. Shucks, we've got to doff our caps at the Borussia Dortmund. It's phenomenal.
Alois, you take a look at the Borussia Dortmund model, Barry touching on the very fact that, so many players come and go at Borussia Dortmund. Their best players inevitably leave for greener pastures elsewhere because they can't afford to be paying players £250,000 a week. They can't afford to be paying players £200,000 a week even. So their top players inevitably are either poached by Bayern Munich, or they go to England or go elsewhere. But yet they remain at a certain level competitive in the Bundesliga. They remain producing stars. So they do have a functional system and a system that allows them to identify the best talent and heralded talents in Europe and bring them into their system and then sell them at outrageous profits sometimes.
Mike, I don't know why Bayern Munich should be looking at Borussia Dortmund and making those kind of statements, because this is Borussia Dortmund, their system, their model is working. I'm a Borussia Dortmund fan myself, and I'm watching from out. I actually admire the way that club is being run. They actually bring in youngsters and they are selling them all for huge profits. That is actually good business. We always talk about football as a business. That is business. That's how they've modeled their side to do that. Eintracht Frankfurt, they do the same, but they are not competing at the same level as Borussia Dortmund. So you can actually see the difference. We've got a team like Southampton, they ship out good players, but they are not competing at the top in the English Premiership. But look at this Borussia Dortmund, they are always in the Champions League. They are always position 2 or 3 or even 1 at times, but they are producing world-class players. And Bayern Munich, for that matter, they're actually getting some of the best players from Borussia Dortmund as well. Their success is actually hinging on this way Borussia Dortmund are doing business. The Borussia business is actually benefiting Bayern Munich in a way. Look at Lewandowski. If they didn't have Lewandowski, I want to think, where would they be right now if they didn't have him with all those goals? He came from there. So I don't know why. I like the model that Borussia Dortmund has got. Because honestly speaking, that's football business for me. You stay on top, you make profit, you make money, and you still stay on top. You still play in the Champions League, and you still sometimes fight for the championship. What better way to do it? And you've got the fans, and you've got that yellow wall and everything, the atmosphere. They are running a proper football business, and I admire that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, testament to the fact that their fans are fully behind them is that they always have a sellout, 82,000 fans at the Westfalenstadion. And I think their average stadium attendance is only second to Barcelona in Europe, in the entirety of Europe. So it shows you that the fans believe in their system. And Chris, this is a system that's built on a very good scouting system, because you need to have a good team in place to identify these players, unheralded players, youth players, bring them up. Like, no one knew of Jadon Sancho until 3 seasons ago when he was at Borussia Dortmund.
Definitely. It's a system that's working for them, I think, because of the talent that they have in their scouting. I think when you need it's almost like they have a little conveyor belt going, and in order to keep that conveyor belt going, you need to constantly be finding this talent and refining it, which is what I think they're incredibly good at, is finding these players who are basically no-name players, turning them into stars, and obviously then profiting for them. In order for you to be able to find that talent, I think you basically need an incredible network. You need to have eyes basically all over Europe, and that's what they've managed to do to get these players. And also, I think to have coaching staff that's patient enough to be able to take this raw talent and refine it until you get a player like a Jadon Sancho, who you're now able to sell for crazy amounts. Even now, when you take a look at the transfer window, there's not a lot of money floating around, but the talent that people are gunning for is from Borussia Dortmund.
It's time for the so-called richest game in football. That's in England, because Brentford and Fulham will slug it out for a place in the Premier League tonight when the London rivals clash in a championship play-off final worth an estimated £170 million to the winners. The rewards for promotion mean that Wembley Showdown is often called the richest match in world football. After 73 years outside the English top flight, unfashionable Brentford are within touching distance of an unexpected berth among the elite. In contrast to their West London neighbours, Fulham are hoping for an immediate return to the Premier League after last season's relegation. And let's start by talking about Brentford, which is a bit of a fairy tale, Chris, in the sense that if we look for footage of Fulham, we're likely to find some in HD, Premier League footage, that is. But if we look for Brentford footage, we're likely to find it in black and white. That's how long the Bees have been out of top flight football. And it's been 59 out of 60 seasons that they've been plumbing the third and fourth tiers of football before their promotion to the championship in 2014. Now they have a chance at real glory. This would certainly be a fairy tale.
Definitely, and this is something that, of course, they definitely need to fight for. Obviously, Fulham as well, trying to get back into the Premier League. But I think for Brentford, it's been a long time coming, and I think just that hunger and drive and trying to get back in, I think this is what's going to propel them through.
The West Londoners are run by a gentleman called Matthew Benham, Mikey. Matthew Benham, who is feted for running the club on a meager budget, but very effectively.
Yeah, very effectively, Barry, because he has introduced science to be at the heart of everything that they are doing at Brentford. He's brought in analytics, and this has influenced their approach. And he has put in place two directors of football that have ensured that the club make the most of their resources, which are meager, even in comparison with most teams that were operating or are operating in the Championship. And they've managed to produce really good players that we've seen turn out for Premier League teams. Neil Mopai, who's at Brighton, turned out to be one of the bright young sparks in that team. Ezra Konsa as well, who's at Aston Villa. Chris Mepham, Jota, all those players have come through their system. And right now, Barry, the players that we need to watch in tonight's encounter, Ollie Watkins, then there is Saeed Benrahma, as well as Brian Mbuemo. Those players are the ones that will be leading the charge for Brentford as they try to make it in the Premier League tonight. If those three players fire and click as they did when they, of course, got the better of Swansea in the playoff qualifier for the final, then they'll give themselves a really good chance.
Mike talks about the scientific methods, Alois, and in truth, no more area have we seen that scientific method come very fruitful for Brentford than in that two-legged playoff semi-final that Mike just alluded to, whereby they were trailing 1-0 after the first leg, and then Thomas Frank, their Danish manager, actually came out before the second leg and said, my boys are actually hungering for the second leg because they know what we did wrong. And lo and behold, in the second leg, boom, 3-1 over Swansea, and Swansea didn't even seem like they were in the match. Brentford, I want to watch.
Yeah, the analytics, that's what Mike talked about. That's why they knew what they did wrong and what they needed to do, because obviously they went and studied the first leg and actually saw exactly what was happening. Football is now science. There's a lot of science that goes on it, not just for the coach, even the players. You can't just be just that player anymore where you just go and say, I'm skillful, I'm just going to go and play. No, there's a lot of science. You need to understand your position. If you are a left wing back, you need to understand the path that you are taking. You need to understand how many runs you're going to be making and how many kilometers you're going to make every game, and you go get tested and check. They will tell you that you didn't do enough this week, you didn't do enough that week. You need to do you will be checked player by player. That's how it has gone, and it's helping. Sometimes you win a match not because you have got better players, but you are better prepared, or because you are better coached and you are playing the game more scientifically than the other one. So they are doing it very well. Mega budget, yes, but it becomes bigger when you are doing things correctly. You might have a lot of money and doing things wrongly, and you want to have it. But now they're in the big league. They're going to be going home with almost 170 million if they manage to get in there. But it's not coming in a lump, though it's going to be through parachute payments. But they can actually even gain more. I think almost up to £250 million if they manage to survive relegation in the first season as well. So this is big monies we are talking about. And you know what? Whenever you get into the Premier League, obviously, there's also opportunities for other partners to also come in as well, and you get all those extras. So I think it's quite good. And even for the players, it's actually quite good for them to get into the Premier League. My heart is with them. I want them to get in there.
And we all love a fairy tale, but standing between that fairy tale is, of course, the Cottagers in Fulham Football Club. Both clubs, of course, from West London, Mike. And I know you like Fulham because of their manager, Scotty Parker. He's done a phenomenal job at Fulham to get them into this position. And in truth, they're going to be formidable foes for Brentford.
Yeah, one-time player of the season in England. People forget that he was player of the season, fantastic player for Tottenham Hotspur especially. Had his stint under Mourinho as well at Chelsea and played at West Ham. So he knows London very well. And then he retired at Fulham as a player, and now he's taken over the reins as coach. And I would love to see him get the team promoted into the Championship, because he's one of those bright young sparks, but he hasn't taken any shortcuts. He hasn't used his name. He hasn't leveraged on his brand to get an easy way to get a job at one of his former clubs. He's gone into the trenches. He's done his apprenticeship in the Championship. It's not easy, Barry, to go to be given a team that's relegated and try and bring them back immediately. He's almost there now. He's just one step away, and I wish him all the best. And I believe that, listen, they do have some really good players, but key to their victory will be Mitrovic. He's the leading scorer in the championship with 26 goals. If he passes his late fitness test and he gets to partner Abubakar Kamara in attack, that team has got the capacity to score goals.
Mike forgot to mention that he likes Scott Parker also because he's a snazzy dresser. He talks
likable.
He talks about Alexander Mitrovic, and Mitrovic will be key to this. I have to get predictions, guys. Chris, you go first.
Done. I like a good fairy tale, and I like the fact that they're concentrating quite a bit on science as opposed to just spending. So I'm going to go Brentford 2-1.
Brentford 2-1. Alois.
Yeah, but I just want to say that before I do my prediction.
Very quickly.
If Fulham wins, they are not going to stand to get that 170 million as well, because I hear they are still on the parachute payment. So theirs is going to be almost like 120 million for getting into the Premier League, not 170. It's only Brentford, because they're not on the parachute payments, that are going to get almost 170. But Fulham, because they're still on another parachute payment because they just came out recently, so they're only standing to get about 120. Okay, like I said, my heart is with Brentford. I'm sorry, Mikey, you like the lad, you like the coach, he dresses well and all that. I like that also, but I want the fairy tale to come out right. I want the fairy tale. Brentford for me. 2-1.
Brentford 2-1. Same scoreline as Chris. Mikey.
2-1 to Fulham.
Yo. And break all the hearts, Michael. Oh, you
2-1 to Fulham.
You party pooper. I'm going 1-0 to Brentford simply because I love a fairy tale.
Staying in England, reports say Manchester United are close to agreeing personal terms in principle on a 5-year contract with Jadon Sancho as discussions continue at an advanced stage with Borussia Dortmund over the structure of the transfer fee. Dortmund have not moved from their €120 million or £108 million valuation of the England international, but seem to be open to accepting less money up front. Ideally, the Bundesliga side would want an initial €100 million or £90 million to fund a replacement for the 20-year-old, though it's very unlikely that they would spend that amount of money on a new signing, hence the softening of the stance on Jadon Sancho's initial fee. Alois, if you take a look at this situation, Manchester United putting out a lot of money up front, even that £90 million that is a reduction from the total amount. Is this a good decision for Manchester United? Do they need to be spending this kind of money in the transfer market?
Yeah, I think it's expensive, of course, in this current situation. But I think Manchester United really need a player like Jadon Sancho. Manchester United, remember, they are fighting for the league. They are now in the Champions League as well, and they need those mature players. They need players with flair. They also need players with a brand. And Jadon Sancho comes in, he's an Englishman as well. So I think they need him. Right now, I think it's a very good decision to buy him, and he is still young. He can still grow, he can still get better, and they can still sell him away. What if he just comes in and performs so well, and maybe Real Madrid or Barcelona want to, and they sell him off for maybe 150 million? It's still possible. But he is going to come to do a job at Manchester United, and I've watched him play, a very good player, and he has got a place in Manchester United, and he will play. That money, I think, is fair enough. Manchester United, we can cry about COVID virus, whatever situation with the economy, but I think that they need to buy him now, because if they miss this chance, it's gone. They won't get him. They won't get another player for that much anymore.
Barry, is Manchester United almost hamstrung by the fact that they've paid such huge transfer fees before? We understand that Jadon Sancho is a brilliant player, but if you take a look at the transfer market and what they valued him at, is it not a situation where now it's a simple case of Manchester United are almost desperate for these kind of players, and agents and other teams know this, and so they peg these players at a premium knowing that Manchester United is going to come buying no matter what?
Yeah, it's almost as if the market sees Manchester United coming. In truth, chief among those signings is Harry Maguire, because I don't think he's at all paid back the transfer fee that was paid for him. So in truth, Manchester United is seen as a team that can pay over the top, and this unfortunately fits into that stereotype. There must come a time where Manchester United are able to say, okay, we're walking away from this deal, and carry on in that fashion. The problem is that they're so desperate for talent, so desperate to bring that good vibe around the club, that they then have to pay these sort of amounts. At some point, they've got to walk away.
Mike, we just talked about Borussia Dortmund just now, and just that they have this mill growing of these brilliant players going in and out of the club. They're making money off of it. But losing a player like Jadon Sancho going into another season, will this not hamper almost their performance? I'm not sure who they have lined up at the moment to replace him, but in terms of their performance for next season and how how competitive they're going to be, losing a player that registered 17 goals and 17 assists, surely this is going to have an impact on their next season.
I doubt it, to be honest. And I know that answer will surprise you, but the fact is that I watched Borussia Dortmund several times when Jadon Sancho didn't play, and they really didn't drop off in terms of performance or in terms of their results. They do have a number of players in those attacking positions. They've just signed Jude Bellingham as well, who's coming in from Birmingham, young, bright upstart who Manchester United wanted to sign, who Bayern Munich wanted to sign. So he's a promising one who's going to come into the squad. They already do have players, the likes of Marco Reus. They do have players, the likes of Julian Brandt. They've got Thorgan Hazard. So they've got players in those positions who can cover up for Jadon Sancho. Not that they don't need him, but the very fact that they're willing to sell him means that they've got a squad that they believe is good enough to challenge. And so that's why, for me, Borussia Dortmund have been adamant that we've put this price tag on the player. If you don't pay that amount by the 10th of August, the player remains here. If you want him, pay up. And so they're very comfortable in this situation. But I think Jadon Sancho will be a very good addition to Manchester United. I think they do need a bit of creativity and trickery. I haven't been 100% convinced with Bruno Fernandes because it looks like when he has got a lot of attention, when people have sat on top of him, Manchester United have lacked another creative outlet. So I think we'll see more from Bruno if he's playing with a player like Jadon Sancho, who's able as well to become a focus of the attack and focus of creativity. That's creating space for Bruno Fernandes, because right now the situation is that people are just sitting on Bruno. After Bruno sparkled in a few matches, people realize that, Bruno Ndiane, Bruno, we kill Man United. But if there's Sancho in there as well, that means that it will open it up for Bruno to perform for Manchester United. So good signing for Manchester United if they get it over the line.
Fingers crossed they get it over the line.
All right, we're out of time on the show. Time is always the enemy. But here's the good news. We are back tomorrow. Don't miss the show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.